Hey,
Hello,
hey,
how are you?
I'm fine. Oh,
Good.
you got the light on?
Yep.
Oh yeah, it's a lot brighter. Yeah.
Maybe if I put it over that way, is that better?
That's good.
Because I had it on the right side of me.
Yeah,
Now on the left side of me.
right. And sometimes you could just put it directly in front of you too. It works.
Let's see how it looks directly in front of me.
Yep. See, it didn't change anything.
Oh, okay. See that sign back there, right?
Huh?
See that sign back there, right?
I do see that sign.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So,
Oh, Latifah Texas said, I'm not letting my seat go.
you should say, I heard that. We ain't gonna let it go either with you.
Right.
That's what, say something like that. Say, we with you and we ain't gonna let it go. We ain't gonna let you let it go.
Okay. I heard that. We're not gonna let you let it go.
Right. We not letting it go either. So we're
Okay.
not let it go. We're not letting it go either. Make sure ain't nobody trying to get in.
Mhm. Okay, that's Ben.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Hey, Ben. Hey.
Hi, Ben.
Uh-oh. Can't hear you. Can you hear us?
Oh, sorry about that. You think
Oh.
I'd have this figured out by now, but you know how it goes.
Man, you back?
Oh.
You rested?
A little bit. It's a little dim where I am, but y'all can, let me see. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can get in a better spot. I feel like looks like I'm underwater here.
Uncle Boogie, baby.
Better.
Better.
Yeah, I wonder why my
Oh,
camera.
I want to say nice to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see y'all as well. Yeah, back from Alabama, had the Jubilee week last week and all of that, and then doing some of the journeys, but I'm on my way back to Alabama next week to do a little bit more training and stuff. But yeah, I'm feeling good. How y'all doing?
We doing well. Hey, where's the training at? Where do you?
Yeah, so we're doing this. We're going to do one for the coalition that's available for folks. So we've been doing these. We call them learning labs, and it's a journey that spends 4 days, 3 nights in Birmingham, in Montgomery, and in Selma. And really, what we're going back and sitting with is, the story of our people in our sojourn, thinking about the kind of bridging that Black people had to do to build the kind of power that was necessary in their moment. And really, the hope of it is for us to think about, so what are the bridges and the relationships we need to forge in our moment to think about the kind of belonging we want to create in the future, for our folks. And so, we go, we spend some time in Montgomery, in and around with Brian's shop with EJI Museum and the Lynching Memorial. And then we spend some time retracing some of Rosa and King's work. And then we're in Selma, we retrace some of Minister Malcolm's and Bloody Sunday steps. And so it's kind of walking people through this story, because what we're trying to help folks realize is, like, Black people have never all been the same in order to get things done. But I was on this call earlier today for this Black Funders call, and we were saying, like, the challenge is, some of us be acting like, we got to agree about everything in order to work together. And I'm like, that's not how we've survived.
Right.
Right. And I feel like it holds us as Black people to an unfair measure when it's like, well, you know, me and you gotta agree on everything. I'm like, can we agree, you know, like that
Yeah.
we're Black, and that at the end of the day, if it goes down, we know, you know, that outside the power of the Most High, we all we got. You know?
Right.
Yeah, can I say this, being that we really understand that, because you know, in the police movement, you know how messy that is. And of course, you have to be like, we don't have to agree, but what we tell families and what they're learning to understand is that we don't have to agree on everything, but we have to agree on accountability and justice for our people. That's what we have to, all that other stuff in between, okay, whatever. Okay, how we get this justice and how we get this accountability. And then it squashes that. But what you're doing is, I want to come.
Yeah, so I'm hoping y'all can come to the one, well, and y'all might be busy that week because we're doing another one. May, it's the week of George Floyd week, but I could imagine y'all are probably gonna be in Minneapolis.
Well, not me. I want to go to the Journey thing. I'm sorry.
So that you know too, my mother and father's from Bessemer, so we do a lot of visiting in Birmingham, and Bessemer, Alabama, of course, Huntsville and Montgomery. You know, we got family all up in there. So
I didn't know that's where your people from.
That's where my mother and father's from. My grandparents, everybody, deep down in Alabama. Yeah.
Okay, just so we clear, don't forget me in the next one. Uncle Bobby could go to George, and I'm going. Okay. Because you know what? It's so there's an article that's coming out in the New York Times, or that we did, because we retraced the 1811, you know, Dred Scott.
Yeah.
So he wrote a letter and invited us, and we walked 26 miles. We reenacted the 1811. We were able to kill white people, the slave owners, on the way. We was marching through it saying, we're going to New Orleans, we're going to end freedom. Over 450 Black people, we had them clothes on, we had machetes, we had guns. And I'm telling you, we must walk the roads our forefather walked, so we can embody the spirit and the energy to fight. Oh my God, that's what that is. So I want to go there and I want to experience that. And at some point, we can pick some of our collectives, and then maybe we could take the journey so they can be embodied with that same spirit. And so that's getting to the call, this Zoom, so we don't be long-winded and keep everybody time.
Right. Let me say this right before we start, Bay. So I can send you that event, because Dred Scott is actually, he said he's really not related to the real Dred Scott, but he's down the line. But he came up with this idea for the 1811 slave rebellion that took place, the biggest one in the United States, and why it failed. And he invited people from all over the country to come. And we were among about 500 folks, 400, 500 folks that came. We dressed down in costumes, and we walked that whole 26-mile walk in 2 days, right? Talking about being filled with the spirit of our ancestors, the spirit that took off. They had brothers on the horseback. They had about 30 horses. It was awesome. And we rode through the city, all through the towns, the same walk that they walked, right? Fighting for their freedom. But eventually, of course, they lost it. But the rebellion didn't win. But the reason why it didn't win is because of us telling that what was taking place. That's in the history books. But anyway, they did a nice big old documentary. It'll probably be coming out soon, but we was a part of that. And they man, that was awesome.
Yeah,
and they have a book. They have a book that they are putting out, and they chose us to be part of, where it's going to be pretty big. So I mean, the experience was just magnificent. So I really want to be on there. So now can we get started, Uncle Bobby?
Yeah, baby.
So this call today, you know, we really thank Live Free. Live Free allowed us to go somewhere where we wish we could have went, and families from community violence, they used to really rag us and get mad at us. But we always used to say, well, here's a plan. Why don't you do it? Why don't you get a collective of families impacted by community and start doing that. And then you can build a movement for families. And we've been saying that for 13 years, but nobody would do it. But because of Live Free, putting us in this coalition and giving us that grant, right? We were able to have a collective and bring families who have been working all over the country after their loved one was killed by community. So we want to build a community, Families United for Justice. We feel like, just like the police, they don't do the stuff that they should do. Like when we have the conference in April, we're going to say their names. They don't say their names. And why aren't you taking the blueprint of the police movement and put it in the community? Why aren't we doing that? You know, like the families come together and stick together and be together and then start affecting legislative change like we have done with the police families. If we did that with our collective of families impacted by community, I really feel like we could change the communities, because we say one person at a time, Black love and Black love, because when we have this conference in April, it's going to be different from the police because this work is with us. We got to have a brother circle, a sister circle. We have to talk about, our community and what we do to us, our responsibility. If you got a cousin that's killed 5 people, you still talking about that's my baby? No, he's a killer. You know what I'm saying? You don't wait till he kills somebody else. We have to start being accountable in our communities. And I think that if we could build a collective of families who are impacted by community violence and are doing the work. So we have a collective because of Live Free. Thank you.
Because I gotta interrupt you. It's because of y'all. We just got the blessing to support what it is that y'all doing, because y'all anointed for, as you know, I'm not making no pronouncements. Y'all anointed by the Most High to do the healing work with the families. So it's just about us recognizing when you see the hand of God on people to do things. I just feel it's more, my scripture teaches me it's your reasonable service to show honor to whom honor is due. So we recognize the calling, the anointing, the moment that the Spirit has put on y'all for the families for police violence. And I really think that medicine that has come about, in you all's practice is some of the healing balm that is needed with the families in community violence. So I just had to interrupt you because I feel more blessed that we get a chance to figure out how to finally be linked in this besides us just showing up in the streets together.
Right.
I humbly accept that, but I just want to say this right here. Because we could not have done what we've done even thus far. You should meet, and I hope that before the conference, you can come on. We have a weekly Zoom and everybody. First of all, nobody knew people, right? So we paid for everybody to come to Arizona. And this is what we came up with for the conference. I'm just happy to still be at the place.
We can't say it. Oh.
Wait, let me see. Right, can you see?
Yeah, wow, yeah.
Okay, so, and this is what we had as posters. And so and this is where we had the conference. We had it in our home in Arizona, right?
Oh, it's beautiful.
And so we made it, and then people was like, well, why don't you have? No, because we started in the community because this is community. We're gonna do it right in the house, right in the neighborhood, where people can really get the feel that we have to take and be responsible for our community and our neighborhood. So we had a full day. We worked out what everybody from different parts of the country, what is it that we need and what families need impacted by community violence. So we put the workshops together. And then we took them to the Grand Canyon where they could see God's majesty. We did it as a unit so that we could be together. So now our Zoom calls is just so, the energy is so beautiful because everybody who have lost a loved one are working, they're working. And they're not, in this community violence, people they don't be getting no kudos to. They act like everybody talking about nobody doing community. Yes, they are. You, the main media is just not talking about it. You're not either because you're repeating what they say. Right. And so we have to change that narrative. So we have a collective right now, we got some powerful families who have been impacted that's been working in the community, just really working, and they're happy to be together. And the love that was built only from a weekend of togetherness is so beautiful. And so we was hoping that you guys would help support us financially with the conference and to actually be a sponsor.
Yeah, well, this is the conversation I've been waiting for too. So we on the same page. I was just trying to talk with some folks on our team to try to figure out. I was like, is the conference happening in April? Because it's been on my mind since, the first, I can't remember when I heard about it. Maybe it's the last time I sang y'all in person at the Live Free event in November, and was like, hey, we got this coming. But I totally agree with you. I feel like we're at a nexus point. I just made this point earlier today on this Black Thunder call. And I told them, I said, listen, I said, people were asking, well, what's the point of the work that y'all do? And I said, so when I think about the work that we're doing, I said, I'm encapsulated in this story. When Nancy O'Malley was running for the DA in 2018, I said, I was there along with so many other folks over St. Columba Church, and it was her and it was Pam Price. And we all talked about, let's get Nancy out of there so we can get somebody in here that can hold these police accountable and not prosecute our loved ones. I said, and Nancy, this white woman, stood up in this church and said, I want to ask all of the mothers whose kids who've lost their children to gun violence in Alameda County to stand up. 90% of Black mothers stood up. I said, and she pointed to them. And as I was telling them this, Latifah was shaking her head. She was like, I already know what you're about to say. I said, she was like, I commit that I am going to hold the people accountable who did this to your children, and I am going to seek justice for you. And I told them, I said, what I recognize at this moment, this is the whole reason why I tried to figure out how to get the Live Free California Coalition in this way, is I said, we are not organizing the families and people impacted by police violence and mass incarceration, along with the victims of community violence, and the white people are putting us against one another.
Exactly.
And then because of limited financial resources, then instead of us putting our frustration where it belongs with the white people that exploit our communities and the structural racism, we put it on each other. We make each other the enemy. And like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan always says, like we find ourselves eating away at each other while the person who put us in this condition is sitting off to the side. And so I've been waiting for this moment. And I was even, glad when we realized that the moment wasn't last year when the conference was happening in September, October. I think about another thing the Honorable Minister says, he says, it was State of the Black Union. I watch this video all the time, and he says, time. He said, we always have to ask ourselves, are we doing the right thing? What he said, are we doing the right thing in the wrong time? Right? Or are we doing, and just this whole notion, like there's a time when things are supposed to happen. And if you try to go outside the time, you're gonna mess up. So it feels like the right time for me as well. We are also happy to think about how we can co-sponsor this in a way where it also still keeps you all central in terms of leading it, planning it. I know we've got something to offer, by nature of, the last 15 years or so that we've been engaged in this community violence work. And so I would love to see how we can, make some contributions also alongside some resources. But the way that I'm thinking about this, and I remember I was telling you all this when we first started this last year, and I want to talk with Tim and others just to think about how can this be kind of the big event that we also invite people into to hold this. I think we got to figure out how to hold this conversation up,
Right.
To everybody. So yeah, I think, quick questions for me is just trying to get the sense of, do we have any clarity yet around budget and what it's going to take to get there, around how many people we're thinking about? We certainly can find some resources to contribute. And the other thing I have a question about is location. Where are we thinking about it for? But then I want to figure out how to circle back to Fred Blackwell, to circle back to Dr. Judy Bell, Cacao Wellness. Like, we can circle back to some of the Black philanthropy,
Okay.
and say, and depending on where it's going to be at, whether it's California philanthropy or national, but we can figure out how to get some people to help us. But we certainly can come in, because I think we would want to just make this be the event that we try to call folks to for Live Free California. To come. What I'm trying to do, last thing I'll say, and then I'll be quiet, is I love the notion of the family's space. I'll tell you what I'm also trying to figure out is there a way for us to create space for people who aren't the families of community violence to be present, so that they can learn from the families. So what I've been telling folks is, right, and I talk about this with Tim all the time, I said, a part of my challenge is, you got people that are, college people that know how to talk about the movement, but they are not from the block. You know what I'm saying? They not from the community. They scared of our loved ones, and so, you can rattle off all of these 5-6 syllable, progressive, terms, but like, if you walked up to Pookie right now, you would be scared yourself, and so, right, like, a lot of people in the movement, like, I still got shooters' phone numbers in my phone because I made it a point to actually be in relationship, right, with the people who were both shooting and being shot. And that's how I learned that they were the same people. The people, right, that are squeezing are the people being shot. So it's there's no way to take care of the person being shot if you also don't take care of the shooter. But I want to get people to learn how to learn from the families and let the families help lead the strategy. So if we got to figure out how, with what we're trying to do to get power out of the hands of police, I want to figure out, like, how do we get the families that have been impacted by violence and the families of police violence ultimately on the same page, so that we can take care of our people. So I'm preaching now just because it's late and I just ate some dinner, but I'm in.
Okay.
Say something right fast, honey, and then I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, go ahead, Beck.
What I wanted to say first, it's a process with community and police. I think, and I know for a surety, they can't come together right now.
Right.
Because the community family, they even told us, we want the love that they told us straight up. Y'all been giving love. We want that same love and attention and because the Families United for Justice for Police, one thing they know about Love Not Blood campaign, they gonna get love and real. They know, trust us, and they know we gonna love them, and we ain't gonna lead them nowhere that they should not lead. After all these years and all these fights and cussing a couple families out, that was my job. But we're at that point now. So they're good, right? Because our last conference was good vibrations, and we had to make it be like that because all of that stuff that happened with Black Lives Matter.
I remember,
most people don't know that Uncle Bobby and I squashed that.
I knew it because I was on that call with the families and I saw the role that y'all was playing to make the peace.
Yeah. So we took, Patrice Collier called me crying about Mike Brown because they had a phone call and it went all ugly. And so we arranged, matter of fact, March 13th of last year, the anniversary just passed, and we facilitated that to squash all of it.
Mhm.
So the police is in the police families, they loving. If you get on a call with them, you're gonna be like, and they ready to fight. Everybody is standing up. And that is what we want with the community families. But they're not ready to come together like that yet.
Agreed. Yeah.
Community families need to be loved.
Yeah.
They know that their love, that their fight is somebody is paying attention to them. And that's why at the conference, I see a way for the community to be involved, like me and Uncle Bob. So this is how our conference usually goes. So I just give you.
Yeah.
So on Friday, all day, we have breakfast, we have opening, we have libation, and then we have it where we have mental health care, and that's first.
Okay.
So we have that, and that usually is about 2 hours, because once they get talking, and you know what I'm saying? So we usually have that like that, and then we have, I wish I had the schedule in front of what we're gonna do for
we go to lunch, and
for the police.
right.
We have the stuff that they need, and then at lunch we have karaoke, and then we come back and do the other workshop. Those are personal for them, people coming in to give them what they need. On our list for this community, they wanted to know, what is the police supposed to do when my child is killed, right? So we have 2 retired. I don't know who the other one is. We need somebody from Oakland that's a retired homicide detective who can talk to the families. We got a retired detective from Arizona, right? We need a retired detective from Oakland, so the families can ask them questions about when their loved one is homicide. They are dumbfounded about that. And they don't know about that. And we tell them, you got to hold the police accountable too. You have a responsibility to hold the police accountable. So we have those workshops, and then we be finished by 5. It's really a beautiful day. And of course, if you have some people that you want to, we'll send you the workshops and see if you want to see if somebody wants to contribute, right, to the workshops. But then Saturday is what we usually do. But I think because this is the first one and it's so deep with the community, usually on the second day, we, like in San Diego, we went to the beach. Everybody brought their stuff. We're gonna ask the families to bring their loved one's picture. Violence, because they don't do that. They don't put their stuff out. We're gonna use the playbook of the families impacted by police, so that families impacted by community can understand that your fight is just as serious, and you have to do these things if you want to bring attention to your loved one's death and to this community thing. So we're gonna have them. We was thinking about going to the lake. So maybe at the lake is where we can involve the community, and they can speak right there at that, at the front of it where those seats are.
Amphitheater, I think it's called, man.
Oh, so you're gonna do it in Oakland?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be in Oakland. Oh yeah,
great.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be in Oakland.
Okay.
It has to be in Oakland.
Okay.
Yeah. So, babe, can I jump in?
Yeah, because that's where we started before. So we got to start in Oakland. There's
Right.
no other place to start.
Right.
But Oakland. Go ahead, hon.
Right. So we'll go to your question. So the location. So we actually did pitch to Mayor Libby Schaaf about finding the location or the hotel. So right now they're looking at of course, what is that? The Marriott downtown Oakland, and a couple down Jack London Square in that area.
Okay.
And hopefully they'll be able to pull it off and take care of that.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the conversation with them. He should be coming back to us this week, right, babe? So that's
saying that wrong. They only taking care of finding, like we want the Marriott, right? Do you think that's a good place, Ben, or not?
Yeah, I mean, the one downtown, the Marriott on the corner is nice just because it's big meeting space and people can get public transportation. And then, there's some walkability downtown for people that want to, hit restaurants and coffee, all that kind of stuff.
right.
So we thought, and when we said that, he started talking about the Jack London and all that, but my mind is on Marriott, okay? If so he's supposed to get back with us to see. To me, in my opinion, he was veering away from Marriott, but I was back at Marriott, so he brought up Jack London, but Jack London is not, if we could
It's
get
nice too. Jack London is real. It's real nice too.
at them hotels at a reasonable price, and they wake up at that marina, that is healing through resistance.
It is.
And then we said those families, they had a view of the marina when they woke up. They was on social media they were so freaking happy. But that's healing through resistance. So if we could set them at that hotel, that would be nice too. But
at the waterfront,
where would we hold the conference that day? You see what I'm saying? Because the conference, I think, needs to be in a big place, because I think the conference, let me just tell you about how we want. So we planning on bringing 50 people in, right? And then adding 50 people local.
Okay.
Or, Los Angeles or Oakland, or, you know what I'm saying? So everybody, we got to have Oakland in the house.
Yeah.
So that's why we said it, we put a limit on it, because our database right now, once we put the registration out, whoa, it's so many families. Oh my God.
Are they registering already?
Yeah,
for this. Trying to register now, yes.
Okay.
Well, for this first one though, we need to just start right here, and then next year we can build, because we go to different states. That's one thing that we do. We go to different places to have it, right? So this one, Oakland, we want to bring 50 people in from, across the country. And that means that if we bring 25 people, right, from across the country, they probably gonna bring somebody. So that's included in that 50.
Okay.
That's how we're doing it, because you be watching the numbers, okay? Because that conference in San Diego, so we watching the numbers. We have 50 families that we brought to San Diego. Yeah, that was a whole lot, but we had to clean up the mess, right? So we're gonna have 25 families are paid for. They're probably gonna bring somebody with them. That'll be the 50 coming in. And then we'll have 50 from mostly from Oakland, but have some come in from Los Angeles.
Okay.
And then we'll have families 100. Because what we want to do on Saturday evening, which I'm trying to work out right now, is have like a dinner gala, right? Okay. And want to honor the organizations in Oakland that's been on the front line for community violence. And we're going to honor our collectives. And so that's kind of how the program looked. So Saturdays, we was going to let them go to San Francisco, and we still can. We can start at the lake and then have like community come in at the lake. And then after, when we serve lunch, then we was gonna have some buses for those who wanna, because people coming from all over the country, never been to California, allow them to go to San Francisco for a couple of hours and then come back and get ready for the gala.
Okay, so if I can, Ray, I know you're excited. She's excited, man. I am too, but oh man, she's just been dreaming about this. The other question you asked about coalition building, right, for training. So we're always very careful about that, because we don't want families to feel like there's organizations at the conference that they feel is exploiting them or hijacking them. We always, with police violent families, that's part of the history. And so we always have to make sure that we cushion the families to not feel that in any kind of way in their own private space. So ideally, and I'm for it, the wife, I believe it should be also an agreement, but we can talk about it too, that yes, the Live Free Coalition group throughout the state of California, as you were stating, can actually witness hands-on experience of families leading families in their struggle. And I believe that's what you was asking, correct?
Yeah, and actually, as you guys unpacked it more, I got even a clearer picture, which doesn't at all disengage me for how I still want to make sure we support and participate. But what I have even a better grasp on is that really this is about figuring out how do we create a space by families for families so that families can be with one another with their own shared space. And that really is more of a targeted strategy. And we want to build towards the goal where then families with some consistent investment can show up maybe at a shared space down the road. Right. That could be with more coalition building, et cetera, because we created some space to invest just with families, by families, for families. So I wouldn't even now want to bring folks that weren't families there. I think I'm really hearing y'all in the nature of the sacred space. What I'd want to just do more is to figure out how I could make sure myself and my core team are there to help support and just be there. Like, want Tim to be in the space, myself, maybe a couple folks from our programs team, just so that, to me, it's always, that's been my learning. You just sit and listen, and people will tell you what they need if you'll be quiet long enough to listen.
But so that you'll know, most of the coalition throughout the United States already know about the McBride brothers, because we tell them about it, right? They say, "Oh, you talking about the pastors?" Yes. So they love you. You know what I'm saying? So like you and Mike will always, as we always work with Mike, always been allowed in our space, because Mike, I'll tell you this really quick. I'm sorry, babe, for deviating. In our event that we had in Oakland, where we had 103 families from across the states, Stephanie Morales, the district attorney out of Portsmouth, Virginia, came. Michael had already been to Virginia and found out about her. So when he knew that we had her coming to be our keynote speaker, he brought it, boy. That was something how he laid it out who she was, because she's the only district attorney in the United States that have put 3 officers in jail.
Wow.
For murder, right?
Wow.
So, and anyway, she's a dynamic person, and Michael knows her well. But yes, and so in regards to that, that's what's real important, is the sacred space, so that these families can feel they can let loose with one another to build their network and their strength. And then eventually we allow coalitions to be able to interject and help them understand that we can't do this alone. Like, we've learned that in order to change the legislation, we have to work with coalitions outside of impacted families in order to get it done. So we learn it, like myself and Families United for Justice, California Families United for Justice, we've learned to allow you to lead the space. And then we learn from you, as you've seen, like with 953 and other pieces of legislation. So that's the ideal. Now, the budget part of it is, normally, since this is going to be a smaller one, 40,000 to close to 50,000 is probably what it's going to take for us to really pull it off the way we want. And the wife kind of elaborated on Saturday. Saturday is more of a opportunity for external organizations, or we'll just say Live Free Coalition, to be am I right, babe? To be a part of that space, because it's going to be like outside. We'll have speakers, mainly families, and then we'll have organization leaders. Go ahead, babe.
Uncle Bobby, that's not his part that he's talking about right now.
That's not my part, huh? Okay.
That's not his part, okay? So, what we need financing to get the families here, right? And the dinner. If we want to, so we have to talk about the gala. So the gala, it depends on where we have it. Like, we had our gala at Jeffries, because when we do stuff in Oakland, we try to do it with all the Black people.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So everything we ever had is either been, and we had 2 conferences in Oakland, the very first one in 2014, and then the one in 2018. And we did everything with our Black people, and we don't want to change that now. So I haven't talked to Jeffrey, but I was hoping that we could have the gala at Jeffries, right? Unless you know another Black person thing that's big like that, that we could do. I'd rather not give the money to the white people at the hotel like we did in 2018. It was nice, but I don't want to. I'd rather just give it to our people. So if we could do the gala at Jeffries, that would certainly shave some off, right? but we have the buses, and then, we provide them food. So
Yeah.
that's the budget. And, I mean, that's not the budget about $40,000. It might be about 60.
Okay. So, I mean, here's what I think I know I can commit to at least right now. I mean, I know certainly we're sometime over the next month or two are going to be re-upping with y'all again for another, but this time we're going to be doing a 2-year commitment. So I've been banging on these funders, like y'all got to release some of the money, and I'm so glad too that I was talking with them behind the scenes too last year, where I was like, y'all got to allow people to get resourced to be in coalitions, and then they should be able to come to the California Black Freedom Fund for money on top of that, and so there's a new term that I'm using that's resonating with philanthropy. So I'm gonna tell y'all so we can bang their heads the same way. And what I've been calling it is compounded investment. So I've been telling them, I said, the challenge is, I said, you give us money to do one thing, but we really need to do 2 or 3 more things. So then I have to choose which one of the ways can I help my people? I said, but you want us to do policy change, but the same people that do policy change need healing. Then those same people need to bridge with other organizations. Then those same people need, targeted, leadership development. I said, so we need to figure out, how do you give those 4 pots of money to the same organization so that we don't have to spend so much of our time chasing, grants and money and all that conversation. So certainly I know there'll be at least another 25 grand that's coming just this year, to Love Not Blood, like it did last year. I want to say that we can commit to at least another 25.
Okay.
That I'll work to find, whether it's a little bit working with some of the discretionary funds we have, and then I'll go and start banging on some doors with some folks to get some more resources towards this, because like what I'm telling everybody is, if we do not get a hold of the community gun violence, there is no way to do nothing about police.
Right.
You lose that. And this has been like this been where we've been camped out, since 2010 around the community violence, because we've been saying, the whole reason they defend the police is because they want to keep, criminalizing Black people and saying you need the police because Black people are violent, they're gonna hurt each other, et cetera, et cetera. So I can at least commit to an additional, outside of our grant 25 towards that $50,000 or $60,000 budget for the event. So that, hopefully at least gets us almost halfway there.
Right.
Yeah. Let me say, if you got a friend that can do the airline, that's half the battle.
Yeah,
I say what I say because we brought 300 people, and so I know that budget, right? So, and now with gas and all that, right? That's why we narrowed it down, because after that big thing, we're being smart about this, right? And so if you got somebody who got some airline tickets at a discounted price, can you imagine me and Uncle Bobby buying 300 tickets? And we didn't hire nobody because that was another money putting out for no reason, right?
So I'm gonna reach out to, so there's 2 people I want to reach out to. One, I'm gonna talk with Mike and see if he can talk to Steve Kerr and see if we can get the Warriors to help underwrite some of this and put their stamp on it. So that's number one.
Right.
I have a connection to the 49ers, so I'm gonna reach out to them and ask them if they will help underwrite some of this and put their stamp on it, so we get some of the pro sports to put their stamp on it. And then our board chair is the CEO of the Dallas Mavericks. It's the only Black woman that's a CEO in the NBA. She's actually my wife's aunt. So she's born and raised in Richmond, California, grew up in Easter Hill projects. And she's always telling me, like, you gotta give me some things that I can try to figure out how to galvanize people around. And I think, this one is easier. I get the whole landscape. Sometimes people are like, well, these people should do this or these people should do that. And my thing is, listen, when Black people are in high places, we have to help them help us. Right. I don't need to fight with other Black people. Like, if they can't help me on police violence because it's too hot of a discussion, then let me see if they can help me over here. because it's all going to the same thing. So let me see if I can work some of those angles and see if
Let me give you two things too. I'm sorry for cutting you off because I didn't want to forget. The brother Tass Farango, who's over the Oakland A's. Now he talked about how he was going to support us, and sadly he didn't ever come through, right? Okay. So I don't know if you have conversation with him, but you can say here's another opportunity he can get involved, because he was talking about how he wanted to be involved in some of the work we do. And then when we reached out to him, he basically stated that he would do this and that and this, and then all of a sudden, he was gone.
We don't.
Let me just finish this, babe. The other thing is too, Mark Curry came to. I'm sorry, Steph Curry, not Mark Curry. Steph Curry came to us when Nia Wilson got murdered.
Okay.
And he asked us if we could facilitate this fundraiser he wanted to do with her. And so we were really the channel for him having this big fundraiser for Nia Wilson and her family. And they really kind of, in other words, we worked with Curry and them before in the past. It's in similar ways. And the wife probably can even explain it better, but it turned out to be a great thing. We can't hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay. What? No.
We can't hear you.
What he did was he gave us the money, and I was in charge of making sure she got every penny, because he didn't want the tax problems straight. Right. And I figured out a way that she could get it monthly by working and doing her catering thing. And I just gave her a certain amount till all that money was gone, and she got every penny. And he thanked me for that. So yeah, we did that with him. But see, one thing we appreciate everything that you do. We're good at loving and doing stuff. We're not good at getting money. We gotta get. That's not our forte.
Man, listen, we are all a family, and the way I look at it is this: like, I really feel like God put us all in positions, and like, the scriptures say, like, can the arm say to the foot, I'm a foot, and can the foot say to the elbow? We all got different parts, and so we just got to play our roles, and so what I can commit to do is a couple things that probably be helpful for me. So one, if I could get whatever write-ups y'all already have about it, then that'll help me kind of evangelize the conversation. Because I'm gonna go right back to these funders I was on the call with today. I'm gonna hit them right up tomorrow and be like, hey, we was just talking about this, because the whole main point I was making to them was about compounded investment. And I was talking to them about bridging Black folks together. And I gave this very example that I just gave y'all earlier. So I can go back to them, because, with what I've learned, all of these funders keep what's called a discretionary fund, which they can give out whenever. So all CEOs of these foundations normally have a $500,000 discretionary fund. So I learned this through the back channels, that they get to pull money from without approval from the board. And then each program officer, that's a senior program officer, usually has a $25,000 a year slush fund that they can pull for outside of the grants that they're supposed to give out. But they don't tell us this, because they kind of hold it, right? But once I found this out, I start asking them directly, like, is there a way you can help us with, do a mini grant from your discretionary line? They looked at me like, how you know about that? And I'm like, can you get us 10,000? And then what I can talk to some of the people about as well is, like, you all have armed me with some really important stuff. So I can go back to a couple folks and say, can you just help us get the families to Oakland? Right. And I can go talk to a national funder about that. Like, help us get 50 people to Oakland, 25 families who've been impacted, but there'll be at least 2 people that's coming. Right. We know that the fuel thing is out of control right now. So every ticket coming to Oakland from around the country is going to be between $700 and $900. But help us get people there. Then we could go to another one and say, can you help us, with any lodging, that needs to happen. Even if Libby and all of them are able to, get some of this stuff for free or at a low cost, y'all just put the money in y'all accounts for the stuff that needs to happen for the families that'll keep doing this stuff. I mean, we all doing the work unto the Lord. So, you know, we gonna do it, you know, regardless as to, like I told people, when I first started in the community violence work, I was not paid. I didn't have a job doing it. I was like, this is 100% volunteer. I did it because I felt like God told me to do it, you know, and to love on our family. So I can work on that. If y'all give me like some materials or a one pager or something, and then what I can commit to do is to engage some folks by the end of this week, and I could circle back around to y'all by early next week before I get too deep in Alabama, with a sense of what else we can do. That's outside of the 25 that I know. Well, I'm so you can count on me for 25. Like that's done. I'll find that out. I want to go knock some doors to see if we can get above and beyond that. I also put a bug in Mike's ear as well to see if Mike can bang some of the channels, see if he can reach out maybe to Justin Steele over at Google. I'll see if Mike reach out to, maybe he can reach out to W. Kamau Bell. They could put a couple coins in. We'll see if we can reach out to some of these people. Mike is, I always tell people, Mike is the famous McBride. You know, I'm the one that had to do all the work while he got to travel around. So, but we always,
I know your pain.
we always,
I'm Uncle Bobby's wife.
we always laugh. I tell Michael, I say, listen, man, you run around and go be with Obama. I'm gonna lay here in the cut and make sure that stuff happens. But again, we all got our roles. So I can commit to that, and then we can figure out how to start getting some money moving. But I believe I can have some money coming you all's way no later than the first week of April, at least, to start getting some money flowing, just so that we have a little bit of a timeline around when could we expect some resources to be moving. I need to circle back and just talk with my team, because I know my managing director, you know, she's a gracious from Oakland, but she be telling me all the time. She said, man, Ben, I'll be talking to you, then you don't went somewhere and promised some resources and you didn't talk to me. So I got to make sure I go through my channels, because she like, you know, I'm like, I don't want the folks that, you know, you want to respect everybody in their roles and honor everybody who's working hard to make it happen. But we will make this happen. The only thing I want is I just want to be able to be there. Because I just want to, I'm grateful to God that y'all are bringing your leadership to this way. It's not lost on me that this is an extra thing for y'all with all the work that y'all are already doing with police violence families. But I'm grateful to God that y'all saying yes to the call.
Yes.
Yeah. We are, it's, you know what the minister said, it's the time, it's the timing. And I think after Allah blessed us with San Diego, there was 0 complaints, 320 families, not one complaint.
Wow. That was
Black and Latinos and a few white people, and no complaints.
It's amazing.
That was all God, because we were coming out of a hot mess. Man, the police situation in the last 2 years has been so gruesome, ugly. The family was going against each other. They was calling, trying to unite families against, it was terrible. Yeah. It was something ugly. So I think that, you know, Allah bless that so he can put us in a position to start this. And the other thing I want to say, and then Uncle Bobby, you can go. I was going to say that since you've been doing the work in this community violence for so long, then perhaps that Live Free could come up with the keynote for the dinner. Who you think that would be absolutely perfect besides the minister, but the minister ain't speaking right now. So, you know, maybe you can, you know, see who you think that can impact the families around giving them a message of encouragement and lifting them up in this fight against community violence. Yeah. And so I think that would be good.
We got 7 minutes. I'm sorry.
Okay. And then one more thing. Hopefully, not this week, but maybe the next week, you can come on the Zoom and meet our collective. I don't know if Tim told you, but he's part of our collective. We invited him.
Talked about it, but yeah, if y'all,
from day
invite me, I would love to come on and meet the folks and listen.
Yeah, and we're gonna, well, when we have our meeting on Thursday, we're gonna announce Live Free as our co-sponsor.
Love it.
Do you mind?
Not at all.
Okay, all right then.
Okay, so let me say this. When we talk about timing, in 2014, they used to have Crime Victims Week in state Sacramento, right? The state capital.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever been, but it's all about the police and what they're doing and for families that's been impacted by crime in the community. So because they never allowed families that were impacted by police violence, we were able to pull off a stealth move. Maddie Scott helped us do it. And so I was selected as one of the speakers there.
The only speaker.
Who?
You was the only speaker of police.
Well, I was the only speaker for the police, right? And basically I had an opportunity to share that a tear-air mother, whether she experienced the loss of her child from the police or the community, is the same, right? But anyway, that just to talk about the timing wasn't right yet, because when we tried to merge the two, the state of California actually stopped Crime Victims Week for a whole year or two because they claimed that there were clashes between police violent families versus community violence families. They announced that and even wrote about it, and it never happened to reduce our opportunity to combine the two. Because we were highlighting the discrepancies of the police, and they wanted to upplay the police and not talk about the discrepancies.
I totally know. Y'all remember when we did that? Y'all remember we did that big march and protest after Philando and in Oakland and
right. Yeah.
Went down. And I remember, that next week the police was trying to arrest me. They was looking for me. Armstrong at the time, he was a captain. He had called me. He said, man, the white boys is in the room banging on the table. They were telling Downing at the time, who was the interim chief. They were saying, let us go get him, Cap. Let us go get him. Like it was a playing rally. And I asked LeBron, I said, what was that all about? He said, they said Ben is supposed to be the violence guy. And he is uniting the police violence people with the community violence people. He said, and they said you're dangerous because they don't want those two worlds to come. He said they said it in the police building. They said we can't let Ben and those people with the churches and the people that want to stop community violence get with Cat and all of that. We can't let them get together. So they wanted to arrest you. But what it shows me is how much our enemies are thinking about keeping us divided.
Yeah, we saw that right at the state capitol when we tried to do that blend. Yep. So we had to create a circle for impacted families, and they had, of course, all the tables for the community violence families, right? And so we tried. Some of them actually came over and joined us. We had a big old circle, big old talk out. But they almost tried it. Well, they didn't almost. They did try to keep us separate. But we were able to get our pictures merged in there. So we had Oscar picture, a lot of impacted families, police pictures merged with the community violence families. So that did work. But you're right. It's all about timing. And we really believe, as the wife really expressed, the timing is now, because every year these families come to us and say, why don't you guys do something for the community? And we already had our hands full. And plus, we weren't really positioned and ready to do it at that time, as they
we didn't have no money to Live Free to do it, straight up.
Well, we listen, the Most High is blessing us all to have. The way I look at all these resources is there are reparations. They're the resources that were taken from us, and we never got our 40 acres and a mule from this liar that is America. So I think we're just gonna use them all to try to save our family. So I'm not doing just fluff talk. Y'all got my word. I'm a firm believer that the Bible say that your words got to be good as gold. So I'm committed. I'm in. I've got some homework to do so that I can see what else we can do to make this be a big one. And I don't need y'all been around me. I don't need public shine. I'm actually that's actually uncomfortable for me. I actually like more. I'm just more like at the end of it. I want God to say, well done. my good and faithful servant. That's it. I don't need no praise from people. I just want to serve for what God has given me the opportunity to serve. And I think y'all been around me and know I'm just trying to love my wife, love my girls, and serve the people, and eat a little chicken while I'm here if I can.
I know we have long, so let me just say this. Thank you, Ben, for your time.
Yes.
But us, Love Not Blood campaign, it's all about love. We want to love on the families of community violence. The families of police are starting to love themselves. When our community families start to love themselves, then we can come together. And because believe it or not, there's a lot of animosity between those two. And they start loving and they start loving, then we can bring all the love together because it's all about love for us. Love wins. How about that?
Yeah.
Well, you got me sold. I'm in the choir. I'm on my square. So I'll be waiting for, just in terms of a next step, I'll wait to get some resources from you all. And then once I get that from you all, that'll catalyze me beginning to evangelize it with others.
Okay. So you want what the budget look like, or you want the
budget would be cool, or just a one pager, and it don't have to be nothing fancy. It don't have to be don't spend time on design, but if I can just have a one pager, that kind of.
I thought, were you talking about the programming?
Yeah, and just kind of like a scope of why this is happening, that just kind of distinguishes. There's been investment with the police violence. Now we need to do this. Exactly what you just said, AB, right? Is just we need to do this investment now with these families, and then there's going to be a convening, in Oakland, California. Make sure you put, Oakland, California, because California philanthropy won't give if it's not in California.
Right.
So that's why I was asking that.
Yeah, it's going to be in Oakland.
Okay.
The registration form. Uncle Bobby sent him that, and
I will.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a nice landing page. That's really nice.
Yeah, that'll probably be enough. If y'all send that to me, if I need anything else, I'll hit you. But if you send me what you got, then it'll enable me to start having conversations with people tomorrow.
Okay, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Perfect. So, let us know if you need more, but that landing page is off the chain.
Love it. I appreciate y'all.
All right, thank you, Ben.
All right, y'all take care. Peace.
All right.
Bye.